Hey guys, Mabuhay, and welcome to Jay's Nest. I admit, I filmed this video, the clip that you're seeing right now, I filmed this in March, but I've been waiting to put a voiceover with it that was meaningful. Speedfold Fridays to me are meaningful, and if you're new to my channel, this is usually where I dive into my deeper thoughts, my mental health, my feelings. It's just been a really fun way to really express myself in a deeper way. I'm someone who really enjoys that deeper expression. Though I like talking about cloth diapers, I also like talking about the things that are meaningful and relevant to my life. And so right now I want to talk about showing up for yourself. This year has taught me a lot. I've been through one hell of a year, and I think most of us have in 2020. I started off the year with a friend saying some really mean things to me, and it triggered me for like the first 6 months of the year. I was really angry. I had to sort through a lot of my own hate, and it triggered some really deep wounds for me. And so I had to learn how to show up for myself this year. I had to learn how to take care of myself and care for my mental health and really dig through the triggers. The way that I personally see triggers is that they are a compass to our wounds. Not something to be ignored, but something to really heal and work through. I realized through that situation with my friend that it was an opportunity to grow, that I could use that as an opportunity to grow into a woman, a more loving woman, a more gentle woman. Or I could degrade in who I was and stoop down to a really, really low level and create a bunch of drama. It took a lot in me to show up for myself and honor my emotions and honor my wounds and actively work through them. For me, showing up for yourself means full acceptance of yourself, giving yourself grace, accepting all the parts of yourself, the bad parts and the good parts. Really seeing who you are on all levels and accepting it. And still loving yourself no matter what you've done, no matter what you've been through, no matter how other people perceive you or how other people treat you. You standing there for yourself. And in some ways, showing up for yourself is really self-parenting. I really view a lot of this as self-parenting, because a lot of our parents just didn't raise us right. Sometimes we are in abusive family dynamics, sometimes it's psychological abuse, sometimes it's emotional abuse. But no matter which level it's on, there is a huge gap in society in the way that we all culturally raise our children without the emotional intelligence or with psychological damage that just keeps getting passed down generation to generation. These wounds that keep repeating themselves. These things your grandma struggled with and your mom struggled with and now you struggle with. All of these things that get passed down and then you bleed it onto your children because you don't know any better, because that's how it's always been. That's how everybody always treats each other. At some point we have to stop and take care of ourselves, self-parent ourselves, psychologically, emotionally, in order to move past these mental blocks, these emotional blocks. This process of showing up for yourself is really being who you needed when you were a child. Who did you need when you were a child? What did you need? What kind of adult did you need? And in a lot of ways, through like meditation and visualization, I imagine my younger self and my current self, maybe sometimes even my elder self, showing up to my younger self, giving her a hug, loving on her, loving on that inner child. There's something about that process that really makes me feel more whole. Being able to show up to my younger versions of self with love and compassion and understanding. And in some way that is, for me, accepting all parts of myself. Really seeing those parts of myself, like 17-year-old me. The one who like went on a huge rebellious streak, right? And like accumulated a lot of trauma and a lot of hurt, and I hurt a lot of people. And, still showing up to that version of myself and accepting her. Sometimes that means sitting in the shame and the guilt of that era of my life, but letting it go, forgiving myself for the ways that I've hurt people. Because this is a two-way street. It's not always about how people hurt you. It's also about how you hurt people. That in my darkest moments, I wasn't always a great person either, and I really hurt people. And so showing up for myself, having forgiveness, sitting in the uncomfortable emotions is how you move through it. I don't sit in the uncomfortable emotions so that I can just live there forever. I sit in it so I can feel it and then finally let it go. The way that I see it is my younger versions of self went through a lot of pain, and I didn't know how to deal with it, so I just pushed it down. So I never let go of it. I just pushed it down. And so what I do now is when those things come up to the surface, when those triggers come up, I feel it and then I let it go. So that pain no longer has to stay suppressed within me. Showing up for myself also means that I'm accountable for my energy. I have been in this process of like saying mantras every morning, which has helped immensely. I've watched literally my whole reality change around me. What I say every morning is, I'm responsible for my energy. I'm responsible for my actions. And this really holds me accountable on many levels for how I interact with other people and the energy that I bring to spaces, and just being mindful of that. Just being mindful that I have authority over my energy, and if my energy's off, then it's off. It's not about judging yourself. It's if your mood is off, it's not about judging your mood. It's about allowing yourself to feel what you need to feel and not suppress it. A lot of this process of showing up for myself is actually honoring the present moment and like really, really learning how to cultivate presence. What I realized for most of my life is that I'd never really had presence. I was always stuck in the past through thought loops, just like reliving the past. Just thoughts would repeat over and over and over and over in my head, and they just wouldn't stop. And so in that way I got caught in the past. Or I would daydream and just dream about things that aren't necessarily reality, dream about what the future could be, or just using my visualization to escape. That's a coping mechanism that I picked up in childhood, was using my imagination to really escape reality and escape the pains that I was feeling. And so through this process, I've realized I didn't really have presence, like true presence and awareness of this present moment. And it's funny that the present moment is called a present, because that's how you change your life, is by being present. It's not easy, okay? This ain't glitters and rainbows. Life is real. I try to be realistic on my social medias. Social media can be like a highlight reel, and it can take a lot of strength and courage to even share the vulnerability of the ups and downs of life, but that is life. We shouldn't lose connection with that humanness that is a part of us all. That is part of life. We all have ups and downs. It is never only an up. That would be, if it was only up all the time, well, that's one hell of a crash when you go down, when you realize life isn't always up. That's a roller coaster. Can you see that? That's a roller coaster. If the roller coaster only goes up, 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 getting better all the time, you see those big drops on roller coasters? Like, that's what life can be if you're only expecting the up. You get a really loud crash, a really loud drop on that roller coaster. Showing up for yourself for me also means letting go of the self-judgment. That comes in so many layers. There's so many times where I feel amazing about myself, I have courage, and I feel really empowered in who I am, and then other days I don't. But I don't judge myself for the days that I don't, because it's ups and downs. Life is an onion, baby. Life is an onion. It comes in many layers, and that's okay. Does it mean you're a failure? Does it mean the work that you put in isn't working? Because it is. And over time, you'll definitely see the change as you really care for yourself, as you really show up for yourself, and you learn to accept yourself and not judge yourself. Oh, judging yourself is the biggest part of this. Really learning how to put down that inner critic. I have a video, I'll link it down below. It's called The Power of Non-Judgmental Thought, and just learning how to exercise the neutrality point. And in that video, I talk about how even our atoms, right? All matter is made up of atoms. And this reality is made up of matter. So that is to say, reality is made up of lots of atoms. And the charges in the atoms, what makes up an atom, are positive, negative, and neutral charges. And that is what we are also made up of. And a way to exercise the non-judgmental thought and to get rid of that inner critic, or quiet the inner critic, is to exercise that point of neutrality, where things aren't good or bad or positive or negative or whatever, but to sit in the middle of it and to see it all with no judgment, to take a step back from your life and to really look at it. And at first it can be really hard to exercise that space of not having judgment, but even if you can just do it for 5 seconds, you're exercising your brain. Your brain is a muscle, and it does take work to strengthen your mental mind. I'm no stranger to anxiety, depression. In my past, there were many years over the past few years where I just wanted to die. When I was a teenager, I wanted to kill myself. And so I know how deep and dark the mental mind can go. You're into astrology, baby? I got my moon in Scorpio. Emotional. It's a bad placement for a moon. And so, you know, the depths of my emotional world can get deep, it can get dark, and it ain't easy to navigate. And we all struggle in some type of way. But it's about learning how to navigate, finding the tools to navigate the dark waters. That's been one of the biggest themes for me this year, is searching for tools that can help me through any emotion. Right now I'm going through a divorce, and baby, it ain't easy. This is a grieving process. This is a mourning process. It's not easy. It's been hard for me to show up this year through this process, which is why I've been gone. It's really helped me realize how important emotional intelligence is, and how important it is for me to show up for myself, and to break down different walls of codependency, of the not good enough wound, and really find my strength again. I'm a mother of 5 children, now a single mother, and it takes a lot of strength to decide to fly back out into the world as a single mother with that many children. It's taken a lot of inner work for me to get to where I'm at now. A lot of nights crying in bed, a lot of me facing my bullshit, and a lot of me just holding myself and nurturing myself, showing up as someone that I've always needed and dreamed of, and just being that person for myself. Now, these videos aren't a substitute for therapy, though I know some of you guys do see me as like your therapist sometimes. And I think that's beautiful. And I do want to get a degree in psychology. First, I want to work on my plant stuff. I feel called to share and to really learn about plants and herbalism and agriculture and forestry. But psychology and sociology play a huge part in my heart and what I'm interested in. And if you do need therapy, that is beautiful too. That is beautiful that you even have the awareness that you need that. But we all need some type of support when it comes to psychological and emotional issues, and I want to just hold this space in this community to really talk about these things. And we'll definitely have more deep dives this year. I appreciate you guys tuning in and holding space for me through this rocky year. And we're gonna dive deeper. I really feel like it's time for me to bring you guys along with this inner journey that I'm going through. I love you guys, and I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.